Kaijumon is a 2016 real-life game, and this was a suggestion by Lachlan, so we are going to be doing the top 10 best Kaijumon fights. Let's begin. Now, Michael doesn't do a lot of stuff in Kaijumon, but he was the first person to ever fight the Redwood organization. And he had to deal with one hell of a fight, as you can see by this man's team. His Mecha Godzilla was his starting kaiju, which is a pretty obvious kaiju to begin with, since, he's like a mechanical maniac. And then he switches to Bagon, which is one of the strongest kaijus in the game, which I'd also like to mention is also really good at combo juggling. Then pulls out his powerhouse, which is King of the Monsters Godzilla, who can do lots and lots of damage, especially when he's thermonuclear Godzilla. He also has the unknown Dark Matter kaiju, which, as you can see right there, is something alright. And then, of course, he has a copying machine that can copy the person's kaiju. Now, most battles with Michael aren't that good, considering that he usually stands back and fights like a wussy. But in this fight, he does get all personable, because, the kaijus he has to fight are up and close. Now, this number 10 was a close quarter with Joe versus Morph Monster, but I think this fight is technically more significant since it's the first time the Redwood organization was ever defeated. This is the last Michael battle ever seen. So, yeah, he only gets two. From some story standpoint, the fight stands when, during Michael's raid during the Red Bamboo Fortress, he had to defeat many of the Goji killers. But one of the Goji killers, Genzi, was possibly the hardest one he had to face off. And not only that, the Red Bamboo leader also had a copying machine, and so he had to fight himself. Genzi himself was challenging due to him using Substitute and him generally being annoying, and also Clone Michael countering all of actual Michael's moves. But also there was funny Ghost Woman there, so that's some good stuff. This duel led to Michael actually capturing all of the Goji killers and being able to proclaim himself the man with all of the Goji killers. But then after this, he did have to fight the Red Bamboo, which that next battle is kind of subpar. Yeah, this one is quick. So Amora decided to go through the Ghost Godzilla Fortress, which was the hardest fortress because he was like, I need a challenge. So at the end, he had to face off against Batra, and he was also there with the child group card, as some of you guys may know. And they unleashed something they weren't supposed to, which was Ghost Godzilla. The fight was just pure desperation between them, as Ghost Godzilla absolutely nails them, but at one point Amor was having the upper hand and actually doing some damage to it. As the void-like thing known as Ghost Godzilla takes some sort of physical form, a battle starts brewing, but before the battle could completely start, something weird happened and everything whited out. And Amor ended up waking up outside the fortress, because the real way to catch Ghost Godzilla was, you have to play Kaiju through the whole game. Now this is a classic battle back from Season 5. This was the first time the Red Bamboo ever showed up. And he was no joke back then. You see, he even had an armored Mothra for crying out loud. In the standpoint of the story, at the time, the Red Bamboo leader has completely taken over the Ganji region. And wants to, well, take it over because, you know, he's the Red Bamboo leader. Amoran got in his way, so he decided he didn't want to deal with this crap and met him on top of his sky fort. On top of that fort, he commenced his kaiju, Space Godzilla, Gyaos, Mega Gyarus, Armored Mothra, and of course, his right-hand Kaiju Ebera. At the time of this, these kaijus were extremely good at their time. They still are, most of them. Not so much of Ebera, though. Well, he never was to begin with. This one also has major significance since it is the first time the Red Bamboo has ever been defeated. And also, it's a pretty sweet one. It's way better than the time the Redwood organization got beaten by Michael. Amor's duel with the Gyaos is completely great. I mean, the battle between Gyaos and Rodan, obviously, is gonna be great. Now, this battle has less of a significance in the story, but it is very, very great. After Scott just stormed him way through the Elite Four, he was at the final Elite Four member, Alex. This man used very, very stupid tactics and also apparently tried to oblige math into Kaijumon for some reason. Now, Alex herself was getting pretty ticked off. I mean, I'd be ticked off too if I had to just deal with this guy. And also, Scott had the amazing ability of turning his Godzilla into Gex himself, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, Gex. Now, of course, Alex herself was destroying him, but he somehow won. I wonder how that happened. It's totally not RNG. But anyways, she herself was pretty good. I mean, she has Armored Mothra, she has Ghost Dragon, she has Cloverfield, you know, all the really good kaijus. And, well, actually, it is due to RNG, but you know what? It's a great battle and a hilarious one at that. This is another kind of fight that is kind of insignificant, but also quite amazing. Lachlan was battling his way through the battle tower, and everything was going pretty easy. Till out of nowhere, a bunch of Kamakuras appeared, and they were all like, "You think this was too easy?" And so, the two strongest appeared, Kamakura and Final Wars Kamakuras. Well, mostly Kamakura. Final Wars Kamakuras is kind of a wussy. The round 1 battle was quite entertaining, especially with Kamakura mostly dodging a lot of the attacks, and also Kamakuras also dodging the other attacks as well, but he was also terrified, because, you know, he's a wussy. Round 1, Kamakura and Kamakuras won. Round 2, Lachlan decided to get serious. And so Red King insisted that he would be sent out, because he would be super effective against Kamakuras and Kamakura. And with that, round 2 won, but there was still one last round. And of course, Lachlan pulled off the most OP kaiju, the Red Dragon. During the duel, Kamakuras finally stopped being terrified, but then was completely destroyed by the Red Dragon. Then Kamakura kind of beat the hell out of Red King, so it was a 1v1. During the final stand, they were both at 1 HP, but Red Dragon was able to outsmart Kamakura. And of course, Lachlan captured the both of them. The fight between Elite Four champions, for one of them to be one of the Elite Four champions. Tema is the Elite Four champion of Honolulu, well, until Lachlan was able to defeat her. But she didn't go down that easily. I mean, her team is kinda broken. I wonder how it even got into the tournament, but okay. She has a Mothra larva, but a really trained Mothra larva. She fits an Oraio into there because, you know, the scythe and cool stuff. Able to fit a Honolulu Zeton in there. And he's pretty much the powerhouse and the father of the team, considering that, well, technically, Zeton is one of the first kaiju she ever caught. Round somebody off with Space Junior and also a Gamera and also one of the Laid Guardians. Also, I mean, a different other kind of Guardian, not a Guardian you want Lachlan. Well, I mean, you could still have him, he's a really good kaiju, but, you know. And the battle between it, well, the battle was kind of more easy since Joe was there to help him out, but he technically doesn't get it because he was mostly just helping him. He wasn't trying to become the champion. The thing about the battles where there's two kaijus fighting one, this proves how well trained the other person's kaiju is compared to the others. No offense, Joe and Lachlan. This was a well-rounded and really good battle. This is the oldest fight in this list, but damn is it a good one. So back in early Kaijumon, around 2016 when the game first began, everybody was completely nameless. The Elite Four, the gym leaders, everybody was completely nameless. Except for the Elite Four champion, who was none other than me. I of course had an amazing team, full of just 3 Orgas and a couple of other actual good kaiju. Listen, man, if you played Kaijumon back in Season 1, you would understand why my team was just full of Orgas. Orga was really overpowered back then. But I also had a Batra and a Mothra, which are extremely good kaijus. Mothra everybody uses, but Batra not so much. While Joe over here had his classic kaiju, such as, you know, his Godzilla and his Morph Monster. Well, mostly his Morph Monster. His Godzilla is, well, he doesn't use it too much anymore. And of course, that last kaiju was none other than Elavus, which was one of the mythical kaijus that was created before mythical kaiju. Let's just say he was the Morph Monster of Season 1, even though the Morph Monster of Season 1 is already Morph Monster. This was one hell of a battle too, especially with the Orgas using Eat, and also the Mothras and Batras not being nerfed yet, so they were also being really overpowered. And let's not even get started on the Elvis, but hey, this is the most significant fight, because this proved that Joe would become the first Elite Four champion in Ganji history. Well, not in history, but like in the game's history when it was created. Now here's a fight you were probably expecting to be number 1, but hey, it's not. This battle is an absolute mess. Well, hey, wait a minute. Besides that unintentional pun, yes, this battle is a complete mess, but that's why it's so great. You see, what happened was Joe just randomly decided to stumble into the void. Yeah, no, that's just a normal Tuesday thing to do. Just go in the void. But when Joe entered the void, he probably wasn't expecting to fight weird, wacky sword man. He's also a refrigerator. Oh, and Lachlan is there too. He's just there to do stuff, I guess. This duel pretty much goes like Goku versus Frieza, where you know how that fight goes, unless you haven't watched Dragon Ball. El Ness even pulls off the "this isn't even my final form" about 4 times in this. Would have been 5th if this was season 14. But hey, no one knows about that. This fight is pretty significant because this is the fight that introduced the mess, for the better and or for the worse. This might be one of the hardest battles Joe have to go through, essentially because, you know, this man just teleports everywhere, creates portals. He's generally just an annoying menace. But that's what we love about mess, right? Also, Joe cheated. He cheated! Before we show off what number 1 is, here's a few honorable mentions. Number 1 is a duel between dragons. I have no idea why I said it like that. I just wanted to be extra dramatic. But yes, yep, this is number 1. I bet none of you expect this fight or possibly even know this fight besides 2 of you. So this fight takes immediately right after Lachlan became the Elite Four champion of Hulu. But unfortunately, the moment he comes out, a giant planet attaches to Earth, because turns out some man named the Clockman wants to take over. And so some mysterious guy tells Lachlan about a weird dragon place known as the Heavenly Dome. But before he could get there, he has to do with the Red Bamboo Sky Fortress. After a long, well not too long, but a weird battle, they wake up at the Sky Dome. I mean Heavenly Dome. Yes, Heavenly. This is where they go to the home of the dragons, the Heavenly Dome, which is ruled by one person named Xenica. You know, she's just kind of stuck here with a bunch of dragons. But she is there to see if Lachlan and Joe are, well, really man enough to go fight against Clockman himself. So this is a fight for Lachlan and Joe to prove themselves, both, to fight Clockman, even though they're both not so very good people, and kinda why a bad ending happened. Now, Xenago was definitely not an easy battle, considering that she has a team of Grand Kaiser Ghidorah, Iris, Jetser, Guardian Zilla, her own Guardian. She has Elvos, and also Insuka, which is a Nova Kaiju. So yeah, no, she was nothing to swoop around with. But fortunately, Lachlan has the power of Ghost Dragon, and not only that, Mega Ghost Dragon is foretold to be the one to defeat Clockman. But that doesn't end up happening because of the bad ending. During the final battle between Guardianzilla and Insuka, the battle grows more and more intense throughout. The battle with Insuka and Guardianzilla grows bigger due to most of their kaijus fainting or taking tons and tons of damage. But it seems as Mega Ghost Dragon was able to blast through it, and also all of Lachlan's other kaijus were able to blast through it.